Hello and welcome. Have you ever just stopped and asked yourself one of the really big questions? We're talking about that search for meaning, for a real sense of purpose, and for, that thing we call our authentic self. It's a quest for all on, really, whether we think about it all the time or not. So let's dive in. So let's just start with a huge one, a question that's been around forever. What does it truly mean to be happy? And this isn't just some passing thought, right? For so many of us, this one question is the spark. It's the call to adventure that gets us started on this incredible journey of self-discovery. And happiness is really just the tip of the iceberg. Think about all the other deep questions that kind of guide our lives. Things like, how can I communicate better with the people I care about? Or what does it even mean to become self-actualized? These aren't just abstract puzzles to solve. They are the fundamental challenges that shape our day-to-day experience. Honestly, the journey to answer them is what gives life its meaning. Now, trying to go on a journey like this without any kind of guide, well, it can feel a little overwhelming. So our guide for this explainer is something called Modern Applied Psychology, or MAP for short. And don't worry, this isn't about memorizing a bunch of dry theories. Think of it more like a practical toolkit, a compass for this very personal quest. The real key here is that word applied. This whole thing isn't about just collecting abstract theories from a textbook. No, it's about taking these powerful psychological concepts and actually putting them to work in your own life. Using them to build genuine self-awareness, to spark real personal growth, and to deepen our connections with other people. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to become some expert on psychology, but to become an expert on yourself. The whole point is to take these principles, turn that lens inward, and use them as real tools for a much deeper self-understanding. It's an active thing, a deeply personal process.
Okay, so every great journey has its challenges, right? And on this quest for the self, the main battlefield, it's inside of us. We all feel that internal tug of war, that struggle between two really fundamental parts of our own mind. So let's take a closer look at that inner conflict.
So on one side, you've got our emotional mind. It's reactive, sometimes irrational, and it's driven by these powerful feelings that can kind of leave us feeling totally adrift. And then on the other side, there's our rational mind, intellectual, analytical, super focused. The problem is, without emotion, it can become cold, even heartless. And if you try to live entirely in one or the other, well, you end up with a life that's just fundamentally out of balance. So, what's the prize at the end of all this? What are we even fighting for on this inner battlefield? It's the discovery of your authentic self, the real you, the one that's kind of hidden underneath all those layers of social conditioning, other people's expectations, and all the different roles we play every day. A really powerful way to think about this is with a metaphor. I want you to imagine that your true self is this priceless, one-of-a-kind masterpiece. But over time, layer after layer of dust and grime and life have covered it up.
Okay, so let's break down this restoration process. The canvas, that's your authentic self, the original work of art. Now, over the years, it gets covered by all this dust. The expectations of others, the labels you've accepted, the different personas you've put on. Modern applied psychology, well, it's not about adding more paint. It's the restoration itself. It gives you the tools to carefully, gently brush away all those layers and reveal the masterpiece that's been there the whole time. And this isn't just some new, trendy pop psychology idea. It actually has really deep philosophical roots. The existentialist philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, he argued that so much of our sadness comes from abandoning our true identity just to win social approval. He believes the only way to avoid despair was to have the courage to be the self which one truly is. So, how do we actually restore this masterpiece? We're going to need the right tool for the job. And this is the real prize of the journey, learning how to live from what's called the wise mind. It's the absolute key to a balanced, meaningful, and truly authentic life. So what is the wise mind? Well, it's that beautiful, balanced state where our emotional and our rational minds are no longer at war with each other. They're integrated, they're working together. It's a state of being where, as it says here, order and chaos mingle meaningfully. It's the perfect synthesis of our heart and our head. So what does it actually feel like to operate from this wise mind? Well, you become more reflective, more contemplative. You're more focused on growth, and you're deeply aware of what's happening in the present moment. And this is critical. You become responsive to life's challenges, not just reactive. So for instance, instead of immediately getting angry when a project gets criticized, that's the reactive, emotional mind, you might pause, reflect on the feedback,
and see it as a chance to grow. That's being responsive. And this isn't some mystical, unattainable thing. It's a very real and achievable way of being. You know, the real power of the wise mind is its ability to turn insight into actual action. It's that sweet spot where we can take these big, complicated ideas about who we are and what we want, and then transform them into simple, practical steps we can take to live better and connect more deeply with the people around us. And so that brings us to the end. And we'll leave you with a question. Think of it as a personal call to action, because it's not just about what you've learned here today, it's about what you choose to do with it. The journey of restoring your own masterpiece, that's yours to take. So, who do you want to become? And maybe even more importantly, who are you prepared to become? Your quest begins now.